Hello and welcome to the fourth annual Money Awareness and Inclusion Awards. My name's Michael Gilmore. I'm the co-founder of the MAIAs, and really these have become incredibly global in the last 4 years. This year we had entries from 47 different countries. So before we get on with the rest of the show today, I want to thank everyone who's watching and everyone who entered. They really were incredible selection of entries we had this year. And it's so important that we're seeing entries from all over the world, because we believe that financial literacy and weak financial literacy is the world's biggest solvable problem. And we need answers from all over the world to solve that. So before we go any further, I'd like to run a video that talks about that subject. So this year we had more than 200 entries, as I said, from 47 countries all over the world. And it's one of the reasons why we're so grateful we had such an amazing lineup of judges this year. We had one category that was the top three were only separated by 1 percentage point. The opinions of our judges were absolutely crucial in separating what are amazingly high quality entries from all over the world. I will bring out some of those judges to actually announce the awards in a minute. But first, I want to thank all of the judges who took part. We had 20 judges. Some of our leading academics in the sector came back again this year. Professor Anna Maria Lusardi, Professor Adele Atkinson. We also had Dave Fernandez, who's been with us since the very beginning. And this year we had a new academic, Veronica Frisancho, who won the best academic paper last year. But it's not just academics. We have practitioners, and we have people working within financial literacy, and we have past winners. So this year we were joined by Tafe Jacopo, who won last year from New Zealand, and also Karen Holland, one of our winners in the past from Canada. I'd also like to mention Layla Bolton, who joined us, continuing a tradition of having someone from the Financial Times. As one of our first judges was Patrick Jenkins, a deputy editor, and Layla is a senior editor at the FT and works with FT Flick, their financial literacy campaign. So without those judges, I don't know where we'd have been. We would not have been able to separate any of these winners. So thank you so much to them for all their hard work. Before we go and start talking about the winners, we've got another video. This year we've been interviewing the winners from last year, and we've got snippets from them talking about why they work on financial literacy.
And that's why I think, again, financial literacy plays a huge role, is because we can give them a risk-free test drive on life where they can make these huge mistakes. They can go bankrupt. They can lose all their money. They can make a bad investment. They can get greedy. They can sell early. All this stuff, but just gamify it, make it fun for kids. Like before I even started teaching financial literacy, it was like, if I can make my lessons fun, then I've won, right?
But one of her messages is money isn't maths. And, being able to calculate a percentage doesn't necessarily mean that we make good money decisions. Likewise, you don't have to, she uses the analogy of you don't have to know mechanics to be able to drive a car. And that was an aha moment for me.
So now it's time to actually start announcing the winners of this year's MAIAs. And to help me do that, I have Julia Chin. Now, Julia is an expert on financial crimes, anti-fraud, anti-scams, and has worked across a range of different financial literacy and financial education companies. So I'm very grateful she was here. I'm very grateful you were judged. Thank you very much for joining us today, Julia.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I've been following MAIA since the beginning of time, and I'm really excited to see it. And every year, I always get very touched when I see some of the entries that are truly making a difference to people's lives from a financial literacy perspective.
Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? And so your interest in financial literacy and financial education, where did that come from? How did it start for you?
So it is quite interesting that people might think that financial crime has nothing to do with financial literacy. But I think, over the years as I work on financial crime, one of the things that stood out very strongly to me is that there's a high correlation between people who are exploited, people who are scammed with financial literacy. And that's how I got myself involved and so interested.
Yeah, I think we see it so much. I mean, there's so many scams people being predated upon. It's just everywhere. Old people, young people, people in every country in the world. There's so many scams. And we also see research saying that the more financially literate you are, the more less likely you are to be scammed.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So should we get a prize runner out?
Okay, let's do that. I'm going to start with, the thing is with financial literacy, what really first stood out to me was the underserved community. So the first category I'm going to announce is the best for-profit project for underserved communities. And that is Nicole from Spain.
Excellent. Well done, Nicole from Spain.
Amazing. Nicole from Spain aims to enhance financial inclusion for underserved communities through its innovative network of nickel points. It operates over 2,300 nickel points in Spain, providing access to personal finance management. Nickel serves diverse groups including the financially excluded, rural residents, and foreign nationals.
Yeah, Nickel was one. I remember seeing the video, and it was so attention-grabbing because you see how coins and cash are going out of circulation. And there are small towns all over the world where people can't get hold of cash. And people are still part of the cash economy, and they actually can't get hold of cash. And what Nickel is doing is finding businesses in these small communities and making like an ATM, becoming a cash point, essentially. But also then using it to bring in financial inclusion and education. So I thought it was a very interesting one. So thank you very much. Well done, Nicole. So what have we got next? Who's our next category?
So the next category is the best fintech or AI for profit. And the winner is Financial Literacy Australia.
Well done, Financial Literacy Australia.
Financial Literacy Australia empowers Australians with disabilities through tailored financial education and support, promoting independence and confidence. The project began on March 1st, 2024 and targets the 670,000 NDIS participants in Australia. The initiative offers over 2,500 self-paced lessons and 24/7 support, including in-person mentoring. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think we had a runner-up last year, I think, from Spain, which was called DisfinLit. And it's one of the things I love about what the MAIAs throws up is we all think that financial literacy can be just about budgeting or investing or managing money, but it's a way of looking at other people, other excluded communities in society who need that help. So many congratulations to Financial Literacy Australia.
And the next one is Best for Profit Adult Education. And the winner is Capability.com by Financial Wellbeing Company and Jane Monica Jones. Well done. Capability MAIAs.com offers trauma-informed financial education to enhance financial well-being, focusing on emotional resilience and sustainable habits. What makes capability different? They understand that money isn't just about numbers. It's about emotions, habits, and personal circumstances. That's where we take a human-first, trauma-informed approach, ensuring learning meets people where they are.
Congratulations. Very well done, capability.com. Now, I think this is your last one coming up, right, Julia?
Yep.
You have one more to tell us.
One more to go, and that's Best for Profit School Age Education. And the winner is Mandy Money High School Program in Australia. The program is a comprehensive financial literacy curriculum designed for Australian high school students aged 15 to 18, addressing the lack of formal financial education for this age group. Partners with over 150 schools in Australia. Offers 42 click and play lessons across 12 topics, for example, budgeting, saving, tax, and investing. And it includes 4 micro-credentials for pre- and post-program assessment.
Well done. Very well done to Mandy Money. I believe a runner-up in past years, so congratulations and well done for entering again. Julia, thank you so much for announcing those winners. And we're going to run a quick video, but then we'll come out with the next guest to announce the next winners.
That was an aha moment for one lady who'd been paying $200 a week of a debt. And she's been doing that for a few years. And so it's money she didn't miss. So the moment she finished paying the debt off, that too was now going into savings. And she was sharing the story of everybody. It's, look at the compound interest we're going to make. And she did not to touch it. Because in her mind, I haven't touched it for the last 4 years. There's nothing different. But this time I'm going to be making money out of it. So that, to me, very powerful.
One of those sessions are inflation, and we have the young people. They have a shopping basket and they have a budget, and they are given a price list from about 9 years ago and then a price list from today. And they have to figure out what are they going to buy with that budget. And by the end of it, the young people, and they're around 12, 13 most of the time, are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know shopping was so stressful. Oh my God, I'm going to have to put back the Haribos, the sweets. And they're like, I understand now why my mum says I can't have 5 packs of crisp in one go.
So now being joined by another judge from this year's MAIAs, that's Ka-Ming Lim. He is the founder and CEO of MoneyFit and has been working on financial literacy, at least as long as I have, actually, because I think the first conversation I ever had about financial literacy was with you. So please, why did you get started? What made you want to start working in financial literacy?
That's a good question, Mike. I have a similar background to yours in the sense that we've all been from the financial services industry and investment industry on the institutional side. And again, like you, I found that many of my peers and in fact my customers had pretty much no idea about personal finance. And that extended, of course, to a broader population. And the idea that we had originally of helping normal people, regular people to start investing, then backed its way into personal finance, because without money you can't invest. But there are so many other factors that go into how much you can save, how much you can invest, and the psychology of it, as well as just the practical aspects. So I wanted to move backwards into that space in order to help more people to have better financial lives.
That's great. And when you said, so you've been doing this a long time, what did you, when you judge the MAIAs, what do you look for in a winner? What grabs you when you see something you think, well, this should definitely win?
I think there are different factors that work for different categories. And over the years, I've judged many different categories. And so I think it's hard to say that there's any one factor that works. I think, say, for example, anti-scam, it's something, it's very important to have a very broad reach into all kinds of different communities. and for others such as school age, it needs to be something that's very much geared towards that particular school or that particular style of learning of the groups that they're approaching. So there's no one secret sauce, unfortunately, for the winners, and that of course is a strength of the MAIAs, to be able to have different factors becoming more important or less important for each of the categories.
Yeah, great. So should we find out who's won some of these categories you've been looking at?
Absolutely. So
What have you got
let's
for us first?
start with closing the gender gap. The winner is Multiply by Creador Foundation. This is the only entrant to be a double winner this year. And this India-based project simplifies content to improve understanding and engagement using humor and storytelling, distributed through YouTube, Facebook, and interestingly, WhatsApp.
Congratulations to Creador. Very, very well done. So what have you got for us next?
And coming up next is Best Entrepreneurship Education. And the winner is, it's Venture Valley, Gamifying Entrepreneurship. The Venture Valley video game empowers young adults to think like entrepreneurs using the power of gamification and invent education to build critical business skills, spark innovation, and unlock new pathways for their future success. Players learn real financial and business skills as they grow their business from one small pet walking enterprise to multiple businesses, including a drone factory, a dating app development firm, a robot manufacturer, and many more. It's a great way for students to understand the highs and the lows of entrepreneurship without the real life risks.
That sounds really good. Very well done, Venture Valley. And I think you've got one more for us, right?
And the last one is for the Best Anti-Scam Project. And the winner is Scam Prevention, Journey of Literacy and Awareness by Frances Yong of Whitebite in Singapore.
Congratulations, Whitebite.
Whitebite's a one-woman operation launched in April 2023 in Singapore, focusing on scam prevention and digital literacy education for underserved communities, including the elderly, low-income individuals, and marginalized groups across multiple countries. Whitebite aims to equip caregivers, educators, and professionals with practical psychological and emotional tools to prevent scams and navigate online safety. It prioritizes disadvantaged communities and uses tailored, comprehensible anti-scam messages.
Well, as we mentioned earlier on, such an important category. It's a new category for us this year. We're really happy to see you win Whitebite. Congratulations, and thank you very much for coming in and announcing these today. And before we go to our next judge, we've got a quick video of some of last year's winners talking about why they work on financial literacy and the work they're doing.
What I'm trying to say is that I think maybe the past 50 to 100 years, we lost the perspective of what needs and wants are. And I can just hold up my hand and say I'm one of them. So I think we think we need so much more, but that actually wants. For us to live great lives, we do not actually need that much of consumption.
I have two kids that are in the sort of age group that the book is meant for, and they were starting to ask a bunch of questions, so I was looking to give them some answers, of course. And I really wanted to get away from this sort of default approach that we tend to have with children, which is, either spend or save.
And sometimes I get people who are in their 50s and 60s and are like, is it too late for me? No, it's not too late. Like, the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. The second best time is right now. So you better plant your trees for yourself. And even if you just see a tiny shrub, it's better than nothing.
So for our next selection of winners, I have with me Joanne Jung from National University of Singapore, among other places.
Among other places.
And your specialty, I believe, is working in public health, but also into financial literacy and broader areas. Could you give me a little bit of background on that and what made you so interested in working in those spaces?
So my background, personally, my training is in economics. I define myself as an applied microeconomist, and actually my PhD is in development economics. And so when I first began working on topics of financial literacy, the project I was working on was developing more acceptable and feasible microcredit contracts for farmers in India to protect themselves against malaria.
Right.
because their health is their major financial asset.
Yeah.
And so I think coming from that frame, it's always been very clear to me that financial capability and basic literacy, as well as understanding of health literacy and how where you fit basically in terms of your livelihood, all works together as one for families. And that financial literacy is really the cornerstone of all of the other things that we think about as so important for well-being, but often silo into different areas. So today I use economics and data analysis, and I work very closely with a number of interdisciplinary colleagues to think about all of the ways in which decision-making in finance, in health, and in the social arena really contribute to better outcomes for vulnerable populations, whether they're individuals who are very highly educated who make terrible financial decisions, people who don't have basic education but are very savvy in how they manage their money in the ways in which they're accustomed, and people who are facing for the first time all kinds of new technological or market innovations that might actually threaten things that they think of as very familiar to them.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a very wide spectrum of what it means to be financially vulnerable. And the consequences of what that means are also more wide-ranging than ever. So yes, today I started my career at the RAND Corporation, which is a policy research organization working across these areas. I was very privileged to start my career working with Anna Maria Lusardi and others. And once you have met Anna Maria Lusardi, there is no going back.
No, none. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I continued at the University of Southern California, where I ran, an interdisciplinary research center under the Center for Economic and Social Research. Today I work here in Singapore. I have an appointment at the Yong Lu Lin School of Medicine in the Center for Behavioral and Implementation Science, where I look at health decisions, some of them health financing decisions, but other types of health decisions as well. And I am the founder CEO of my own research organization, Research for Impact. We are a Singapore-based research organization, and we do all kinds of social and behavioral science research, including financial literacy.
Wow. This is why we're so grateful that you're a judge for us. I mean, the insights you have on the work you see is so powerful. And that, our entrants come to us from all over the world because their peers, they're so spread all over the world. It's an amazing opportunity for our entrants to be evaluated, judged by your expertise, and to be able to advise them and potentially see where they could go from here. It's incredible.
And it's so exciting to see such a wide range of categories and accomplishments, and that we can see all the different contributions that people are making, from the academic to the practice to the more community-based. I think, for me, that's what makes the MAIAs such an exciting and unique event. In addition, I think, to really framing the excitement and interest around financial literacy that has been, dare I say it, a little bit for the last 20 years, people have perceived it as something that was really necessary and very critical. And for that reason, sometimes maybe a little boring. But the MAIAs are anything but.
Thank you very much. Shall we start with your first winner?
I would love to. And the first category that I have with me today is the best academic paper. And I am delighted to announce the best academic project or paper goes to Sumitra Jha for Trading Stocks Builds Financial Confidence and Compresses the Gender Gap.
Well done, Sumitra.
So this project focuses on a field experiment, so actually testing in the field in Israel to incentivize working-age men and women to trade stocks for 4 to 7 weeks without any additional educational content. And what they found is that trading stocks itself significantly improves financial confidence, knowledge, risk tolerance, and self-reliance, and that these effects are particularly strong among women, despite no actual explicit educational elements being delivered. So it's so exciting to see that experiential learning can really have an effect.
That's amazing, isn't it? Congratulations, Sumitra. Sounds like a very valuable piece of research. And what do you have for us next?
So the next category that I have is best book.
Nice.
And for best book, I have Fleur Erenazo, The Money Pizza.
Well done, Fleur. Congratulations for The Money Pizza.
The judges loved the sheer practical usefulness of this book, which includes everything from exercises to examples all the way through. And I want to read a quote from one of the judges. I think many readers will be helped by the comparison between modern life and life 50 years ago. We do just all have a lot more on our plates to manage, including the number of variables at play when we make personal financial decisions.
Well done. Thank you very much for that, Fleur. And so what's next? What's our next prize? Award, rather.
But we want to move from books to another type of platform. So we want to talk about best content creator or aggregator. And the winner in this category is Topical Talk from the Economist Educational Foundation.
Congratulations to The Economist.
Topical Talk is particularly important because it empowers students aged 10 to 16, a very formative age, to understand financial concepts in a very practical way through news engagement. And they have weekly lessons, and these weekly lessons dissect current events. And what they do is focus on financial stories to foster not just understanding, but critical thinking. And on top of that, they have an annual Topical Talk Festival, which promotes global discussions on financial issues among students. And again, I just want to note comment from one of the judges, that it's good to see The Economist using their really powerful platform to improve on the key skills that we need for financial literacy, like critical thinking.
That is so important. I think it's great to see when organizations use the distribution they have and also introduce real life subjects, because kids, I think we just saw recently an article in the news about how to talk to your children because they're stressed about the news and the world. And how is this a time to talk about money? And 100% it's a time to talk. And The Economist is doing that every week with these. So congratulations to The Economist.
Great
and
stuff.
I think you have one more announcement for us.
I do have one more. And the last topic, which I think is wonderful, is really talking about people. And so I'm thrilled to end off with Best Educator. And our winner in the Best Educator category is Danny Zhang from Bergen County, New Jersey.
Congratulations to Danny.
And what makes Danny so special? Danny Zhang's Futures Financials Inc. empowers youth through making financial education accessible. He improves literacy and fosters community growth all at the same time. And that he does that through interactive workshops and storytelling as well to enhance financial literacy. And this initiative has reached over 2,000 young people and families, students, teachers, and parents in New Jersey and in New York through bite-sized lessons and interactive modules for busy individuals, and aren't we all? And I think what is so exciting about this is that it is of the times. It offers a gamified digital platform to really engage people in that learning experience with quizzes and progress tracking as well.
That's wonderful. I'd like to add as well, this is one of my favorite categories in the MAIAs every year, because one of the reasons we started the MAIAs is because I met a teacher in Singapore who was out buying books for every single student in his class to teach them in his spare time about money. It wasn't part of the curriculum, but he just wanted to do it. And I thought, literally the phrase, this guy deserves an award. And that's one of the reasons the MAIA started. So it's always a very personal subject for me, who wins Best Teacher, because they're doing amazing work, these teachers.
That's an amazing story.
Thank you very much, Joanne. Thank you for coming in. And thank you for all your help in the judging and in announcing. And before we bring in our next judge, we will show one more video of last year's winners talking about why they work on financial literacy.
So in Glasgow, it is designed to look like a home. So we have a living area, we have a sofa, we have a dining room, we have a very small galley kitchen. And throughout the programme, we will check really practical things like the electricity meter. We will monitor that throughout the programme. We will budget for lunch together as a group, and we will work out how much we can spend each day on food.
And I guess the inspiration behind Wealth Bright is really born out of some of my own lived experiences as someone who came from a sort of quote unquote different background, entering the corporate world here in London. Some of the things I struggled with, lessons I learned along the ways, and a desire to ensure that actually these questions that a lot of people have about managing money and finance, that we should be better at trying to help people sort of get the answers they need at a relevant time and place so that they can take action.
So now time to introduce our fourth guest and one of our judges from this year, Alex Clark from the Behavioural Insights team. Please tell us about behavioural insights, behavioural science, and how that plays into financial literacy and financial education.
Certainly. So I work as an applied behavioural scientist for Behavioural Insights team, or BIT, originally set up in the UK government and known then as the Nudge Unit. We're now an international organisation. We work all over the world. I'm based here in Singapore. But what we do is very similar. We run applied behavioural science research to generate evidence about what works. There's lots of assumptions that we might make about the way that human beings behave, about the way we make decisions. many of which have really important relevance to policy problems, social ills. And through generating better evidence about what works, we can design better policies, we can design better services, we can design better products. And, as someone with a great interest in evidence, financial literacy, financial behaviors, whether we're talking about inclusion or adequacy or capability, is an area that's really interesting. There's been an incredible evolution in the evidence base, I think, for financial inclusion over the past couple of decades. Quite well narrated, I think, in particular by people like Tim Kaiser, where we've seen lots of more sort of nuanced, informed, and varied ways of approaching these kinds of problems, and a much more holistic understanding of how we help people increase their financial capability. And so I'm, really here and really keen to be part of this process, partly as an excuse to hear about all these wonderful things that people are doing around the world.
Well, we were very grateful to you as well, because at the beginning when we started talking, you weren't just a judge, you actually had a look through the questions that we'd set previously. And because we wanted to try and get to a better, sort of more evidence coming through from our entrants of why they think what they're doing is working and how it's working.
Yeah, Michael's being kind for the cameras. I was very difficult. I was very insistent that I really wanted to see how we could encourage entrants to describe their impacts and their theories of change, their understanding. Because I think actually that's a massive part of what we're trying to do in this sector is better understand how can we have an impact. And the best way to do that is to get all these practitioners and sort of learning organizations to sit down and share with us, okay, this is how we're trying to have that impact, and this is where we think we're doing our best work, and then we can all learn from that.
Yeah, no, excellent. And no, we really appreciated it. It was very good to see. And I hope you saw good things coming through. Not talking about the winners necessarily right now, but in the entrance you saw, and then as you were judging, you saw, I'm sure it's a range of different things, but evidence of people talking about behavior change and talking about how they get to that behavior change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like it was honestly an absolutely fascinating process that I would recommend to anyone. Enormous fun to kind of read about all these really exciting, different projects, and sort of different visions of how to approach this problem, different capabilities, and therefore, different approaches to generating evidence. And I think that one of the great strengths of the MAIAs is that it does encourage these different visions of the world. And I think this year in particular, I don't have as much frame of reference as you, of course, but this year it did feel to me like we had lots of entrants that were showing, a really clear chain of this is what we're trying to do, this is why we think it works, and this is how we think we're having an impact. And I think that's something that I would love for us to continue to encourage.
Brilliant. Shall we stop making the viewers wait to find out who the winners are and start with an announcement? So who have you got first for us?
So first category from me will be the best non-profit project in a developing country. And I've got my angbao here, within which we find the winner. And the winner is Multiply by Criador Foundation.
Congratulations to Multiply.
Absolute congratulations, a double winner. Multiply by Criador Foundation enhances financial literacy for low-income women in India through accessible digital content and innovative tools, using bite-sized videos and multimedia guides to educate women on financial topics. It targets women aged 18 to 40 from low to lower middle-income households with smartphone access. This is a community that's economically active but financially excluded, with a focus on relatable support.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And who's up next?
So next we have the best non-profit project for school-age education.
And just for me to interrupt, that was the biggest category we've ever seen in the history of the MAIAs. More entrants than ever before. I think the judges still had to look at about 12 or 13 entrants, and that was after I culled back as much as I could. It was an incredibly strong category this year. So the winner is impressive.
Yeah, well, rightly. I mean, as I sort of mentioned before, the evidence on education-based interventions in this space is much more secure and stable now than it was. So it's definitely an area we should be focusing on. So the winner, best non-profit project for school-age education is our Fu Tong Guardians of Mountain Children Financial Capability Development Program. This one's really exciting. I really did enjoy reading this entry. It's a financial literacy initiative targeting underserved children aged 6 to 15 in China. The program uses a child-centered economic simulation where children earn ARFU tokens through positive behaviors and entrepreneurial activities, manage savings, and engage in real-world career explorations. Perhaps most excitingly, since 2018, the initiative has reached over 354,444, very precise number, children across 30 provinces. So some key features: gamification, project-based learning, multi-sensory teaching, and I think they do take this quite seriously, localized content, which is really great. Program has demonstrated significant improvements in financial knowledge, behavior, and attitude among participants, and they focus on closing the gender gap and empowering marginalized youth.
Congratulations, Afutong. Very well done. And I think definitely that I'm pretty certain that's our first ever winner from China.
Well, to this point about the variety and the sort of global reach of the MAIAs, which I do think is really marvelous, is that I'm so confident that I would not have heard about this enormous, really impressive program if not for the MAIAs. It is a little bit difficult as a native English speaker with limited to no Chinese to find a lot of good information about this program, but it's been running for many years. It's got this enormous reach, and they're doing some really interesting, exciting work. So it's wonderful that we can bring a little bit of attention to that, to the English-speaking world.
Yes. So who's next?
Next, we have the Best Non-Profit Adult Education Project. And the winner is Finance for All by the Nova School of Business and Economics in Portugal.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. It's a pioneering financial education program for middle-income adults in Portugal, a group that is often overlooked in financial literacy initiatives. Despite being a relatively affluent population in a developed country, in an upper-income country, the Portuguese consistently rank quite low in international comparisons of financial knowledge, struggle with inefficient savings, high debt burdens, and limited retirement planning, which weakens both individual financial autonomy and agency, and also impacts broader economic stability. To change this, Finance for All provides a 10-hour, free of charge financial literacy training designed to equip students with the knowledge and skills necessary for responsible financial decision making. And I understand they currently have a randomized control trial pre-registered in AEA. So it will be really exciting to see the results of that when it's complete.
Excellent. Congratulations. And I believe this next one is our final award announcement for this year.
So, the Best Non-Profit Project for Underserved Communities, where the winner is Uplifters Limited. Uplifters Limited is a Hong Kong-based non-governmental organization that is focused on empowering migrant domestic workers, primarily women from the Philippines and Indonesia, through financial literacy education. Their signature program, Dare to Dream, is a free, mobile-friendly online course designed to teach financial skills, build confidence, and improve mental health. Since 2018, the organization has built a community of over 14,000 members, with 97% now saving monthly, 81% tracking expenses, and increased confidence in managing finances. Graduates of the program become peer leaders, facilitate discussions, organize meetups, help with that sort of network effect, ensuring scalability. It's the only free, mobile-first, peer-led financial literacy platform tailored to the challenges that migrant domestic workers face.
Congratulations to Uplifters. Thank you very much, Alex, for coming to announce these today. Thank you very much for your judging duties as well. I'm really glad you enjoyed it and you found interesting things there. Thank you obviously to all of our judges as well for this. And before we have our closing remarks, we'll have one more quick video to come from our winners from last year, talking about why they work on financial literacy. But thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
First response is, but that the primary school students, how could they possibly start? Are their parents running this business? Are their teachers running the business? Yeah. But no, it's absolutely amazing what they're learning. And we don't only see that a growth in the way that they're able to compare prices, decide, make key decisions about what they need to buy and what is more of a want, and work through that process. but also growing in confidence, learning leadership skills, learning how to work in groups.
I think our approach is what makes it super special is that we are always working via partners, existing actors, existing stakeholders, and mostly community-based organizations to achieve our mission and vision, of course. And those involve empowering young and the economic agents of today and as well of tomorrow into becoming more socially aware, more financially empowered to make those informed decisions.
Children want to learn about this stuff because they know that it is absolutely going to impact their lives. I think one of the nice moments is that helping them realise that learning about money is for everyone, right? It's not for those children who are good at maths and economics and business, right? And actually saying to the children, like creatives or people who are following other sort of career paths, every single person is capable of having a good relationship with money and building the right finance skills.
That's it for the MAIAs this year. The MAIAs 2025 winners have all been announced. Congratulations to all of you. Also, congratulations to the runners-up, the special commendations, and everyone who entered. As you can see from the comments from our judges, what you're doing is so needed and so well respected. We need to see these every single year. We need to develop financial literacy, and you're the people driving it. So please put January the 1st in your diary for next year to make sure you enter the MAIAs next year. Whether you won this year or whether you were runner-up or you didn't make it through to this level, we want to see what you're doing. So thank you to all of you. Congratulations to the winners. Thank you to the judges who made this possible. I look at these entries and I would award all of them winner status. It's only through the judges that we're able to separate the incredibly high caliber entries that we get every single year. And also, before you go, remember to maybe watch the podcast that we have, the Better Money series. That's where the videos that you've been watching through this came from. And we should be interviewing the winners for this year through the rest of this year. So there'll be another series of that coming where you can find out how, as we say, make money better for people all over the world. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with making money better in the rest of the year. Thank you.